Welcome back to the discussion, an all different discussion altogether, but not as different, but because it's still on creation of content right here in the country. We still have Vincent Ayaya in the house, and thank you so much also, for just maintaining it right here. It's because, I was actually having a conversation with these young tucks. You can see they're all young tucks. They're trying to venture into the film industry and, movie creation and all that. And they all felt like, it's very hard to find yourself sitting down with a K.F.C.B official. So let them just enjoy this moment right now and ask you anything that they would want to ask you as to the production of movies right here in the country. So I wish you were next to me, so I will start by introducing you as the lady, but Tatiana allowed me to break the rules. And seated right next to me is Edward SiraSira. Good to have you, founder, Glitch Lakes. Yeah? Glitch or Glitch Lakes?
Glide
Lakes. Okay, Glide Lakes.
From the word glittering.
Yes, and he will be telling us what they do. It's movie creation, technically, right? Good to have you this morning. And we also have Tatiana Isabel, also part and parcel of Glide Lakes, yes. I want to believe. And lastly, we have Emmanuel Godfrey, Glide Lakes family also. And they all deal with the question of trying to create content, movie and all that, production at large. And they've done great pieces, I can tell you, for free. You look at these people and you see the kind of talent that they have, and you really want to see that growing. So today we take a look at the challenges that affect the film industry. And of course, they'll be echoing in their sentiments and telling us what are some of the things that they're going through. And moving forward, a discussion on how we can help better this. You take a look at what has been looked at, and you realize that Kenya has so much potential in terms of growth because creativity is in here. There's so much space and all that of growth for talent. But then we're not exercising this to the maximum just because of these challenges. Allow me to start with this particular one. Of course, they'll be telling us what they go through. But then again, there's been an issue on policies. And when I look at policies, then I look at the regulator. I'm thinking, okay, what are the regulators doing towards coming up with policies or film policies that would be good enough for these entities? So I'll start with you again, Vincent. The question of policies. The policies that actually govern the film industry at large, and they have so much so, in a way, restricted production. If you'd ask them, they'll tell you that one of the key things that is the biggest challenge in them producing what they are these policies and actually the governing policies within the regulators. What do you say about that?
Thank you, Linda. The policy. From the government position where we sit, we have two policy that is driving the film industry. Right. Number one, we have the regulator in place, established under the Films and Stage Plays Act, that is ourselves, Kenya Film Classification Board. And then we have Kenya Film Commission, which deals with the marketing side of the industry. So they develop the industry. They ensure that the industry is developed. But as the regulator, we're in charge of how are we following what the regulation has provided. But we only don't do that particularly. As I had alluded earlier, we also touch on creation, and we like to create a conversation and talent-based for our young people. So we have a framework on how we want to bring in the young people so that they are in touch with our creation element where we begin the process of regulating at the creation level.
Right.
So we have policies in place. They can even be made better and better.
All right, there you go. You've heard what is ongoing. You would have probably said that this should have been in place from the word go. But then, okay, it's work in progress. I'll come to you, Edward, and I'll ask this question. What are some of the key challenges that you people go through in the movie industry? At some point in time, you'd look at it and say, you know what, this is talent, but I would rather just let go and do something else.
Okay, thank you, Linda. The first thing is lack of skills. Like, you can't wake up to be a real cameraman. You need to go for training and know what you're doing. The same way Kenyans, we want fast and easy things. Yeah. So you find someone waking up, I'm the director of so-and-so, yet you don't even have the experience or the exposure on what you go through. So the main thing, number one, is lack of skills. We need to develop these skills, and it takes time to develop skills. Something that takes time so that you have it. Another thing is the lack of equipment. Nowadays, we want a low-budget things. And who will go to have a high-budget thing if he can get it at a low budget? True. Let me say cameras and all that.
Right.
So lack of equipment is one key thing. if I want to take a movie or I want to direct a movie happening in a hospital, let me say I'll use a house, then I'll just place something like charts to look like a hospital.
Yeah, substitutes and all that, yeah?
Yeah, so lack of equipment is also a key thing.
Right. Of course, I'd love to ask, whom then do you think should come in to sort of create these provisions? Because, you know, at the end of the day, you'll always be told, you know, left, right, and center, everyone is trying to struggle to figure out what they're going to do. So in what capacity do you think this falls in terms of just getting to address some of these issues? Of course, in equipments, probably would say the government should come in handy to see to it how we can always be importing some of these equipments at the lowest rate and everything. But then again, you also look at them as a global, you know, as global tools. So there's some level of curtailing, of course, apart from the issues or to do with taxes. But before we discuss that or expand that, or maybe ask him how they're working out to ensure that some of these things are looked into, apart from just as that side of being a watchdog, I'd probably want Tatiana equally to bring aboard what are some of the things that probably, since you started, you sort of feel like, you know, are not going well in the general aspect of movie creation in the country.
Okay, thank you for the question, Linda. However, I'd like to start with, there's so many challenges in acting, yes,
right.
But we shouldn't despair about the challenges we're facing at the moment, because there are other ways we ourselves can help improve the Kenya film industry.
Right.
First and foremost, I don't think actors in Kenya are very serious, actors/actresses in Kenya. It's more so about fame, getting somewhere, getting known. Also passion, just being passionate about it is not enough. You need to have the skills. You need to learn, even though you go for training, and let's say you've trained, okay, yes, you're an actress, an actor. You actually have to put in the sweat. You need to gain the knowledge, right? You need to find out, like, what it takes actually to be an actress or an actor. So you really need to put in the hard work. So before we start blaming the government, before we start blaming others surrounding us, before we even reach out to people and start asking for funding and support, we really need to show them what we're capable of doing. And that's what at Glide Lakes, Edward put forth the first foot, and we decided to, like, come on board and help him out, since it was a self-funded series, the mutuals, and we all put in the effort to see us go somewhere before we could come in and start asking for people to, like, fund us or whatever. We first have something to show what we are capable of doing. So I believe out there, there's so many talented actors and actresses, directors, casters, photographers. But what can you do? Just by saying you can do this, it doesn't prove. Because right now we have so many graduates out there who don't have jobs. So just showing your CV, like, I passed, I did this, I did that, it doesn't count. You know, show us, like, what you can do, right? But then at the same time, the government needs to come in once we show them what we can do. People who are ready to fund, you know, the Kenya Film Commission, where Vincent is from, the clarification side, also need to step in and make us aware of what we are meant to do and what we are not meant to do. Because right now, I personally cannot say I know all the things that I am meant to follow when it comes to the regulation process. There are things I may think are acceptable. Of course, we are so corrupted by the international market, and all the films we watch these days are accessible to so many series and movies and animations out there. But they might not be applicable to Kenyan laws, you know, or East African laws. So how about put it out there, make it public. Don't just go blaming us like it was out there. You know, we have this and this website, this. No, create forums, seminars, you know, conferences where youths can actually go and do not charge us to keep going. Some people run away when they hear they need to pay a fee, anyway, not knowing what they're going to gain from there and how much it's going to cost them in the future. Yeah.
All right, great points right there. You know, it's incumbent upon us. It's all about us to just do what is right before we start pointing fingers, before we start looking at the government. And I'll come to you now, Emmanuel. And generally, in comparison to what we see in the country today, I mean, when you're in it, you suddenly understand where it hurts and where it fits so well. So looking at what we have in the country and generally what we witness in other, you know, regions, of course, well, the bigger brothers, we're talking about the international scenes and everything in terms of movie creation. Do you suppose then there are a lot of things that we really have to do so that we can catch up globally?
Yeah, I feel like here in Kenya we have everything we need. It's just that we haven't realized it yet. I feel like Kenyans, we are a sleeping giant when it comes to, let me just say, entertainment as a whole. Why am I saying that? When you look at, for example, let me use a film all of us know, Nairobi Half-Life.
Yes.
Nairobi Half-Life exposed us to the world that we are capable of actually doing something in the film industry. But after that movie, how many movies of that caliber came out? None.
Almost none.
Yeah, you see. Now, as I was coming here, I was watching some interviews, and they were talking about the fact that that particular movie, it took them 50 million shillings to make it. Now, how many of us have 50 million to make a movie? But at the same time, we have so much talent in this country. I mean, when you look at, for example, YouTube, personally, I don't watch TV at all.
Yeah.
Anything I want to watch, I just go to YouTube. We have vlogs, people who make vlogs in this country.
Yeah.
I mean, their content is well received, but it's not seen on TV.
Right.
You see, so we need to support such kind of people, because they are able to further the narrative that Kenyan actually can make film. And one other thing that we really need to do is improve on finances.
Yeah.
I mean, in Kenya, we need to invest back into the market that is in the film industry. Personally, that's the key thing. I mean, I would not want to be famous and walking in town and boarding a matatu. To me, that is not realistic. To be seen on TV every single day and I'm on a matatu. We need to invest in our actors and our actresses and just generally anyone who is involved in the film industry. To highlight that point more, Nigerians hire 1 million people in the film industry every year.
Right.
Nigerians make at least $7 billion from film per year.
Yeah.
How much money do we make? I
out
think
of it?
that's something you can clarify to us. And then once that money is made, does it go back into the industry or does it go back into people's pockets? For example, let me go back into music. In music, when you release a song, we have MCSK to cater for. MCSK has to pay you for royalties. But when it comes to film, when a film is released and it becomes, let's say, a hit, for example, does K.F.C.B pay back the actors, or is it upon the people who made the film to pay back those guys? So I think we need to handle some of those things and address them for us to move on.
That should be a question and pertinent points that you raise.
Yeah.
Vincent, I'll be coming to you, of course, to answer some of the questions that have been raised that are very pertinent, in terms of just understanding who is supposed to touch what, so at least generally, the industry is well catered for. But before we do that, let's first of all watch some of the clips that you have prepared as Glytlex, Glytlex what?
Glytlex Global.
Global?
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's just a movie entity, and it's a production house that caters for a lot of things, or just movies?
We do mainly TV, movies and series, but we also embrace other forms of arts.
Okay.
That's during our day-to-day events.
So these clips that we were about to watch, what are we looking to get out of them?
So I want to talk about funding. And I want to say a girl will crave to go to K.F.C. and not Gikomba to eat. You crave for what you don't have.
Yeah.
And that's what Nigerians are doing and making them, people want to see the fantasy side of life. Let me say Mexico, they want to see movies that explain much about life. But if you do a low budget movie, in most cases, I'm not saying low budget movie don't sell, but in most cases they don't sell.
Yeah, so you have to invest in content as you create it.
You have to invest.
Okay, let's watch this and then come back, react to it.
And I promised my mother that hatasema your secret. I'm a bastard. But since my mother is dead, he felt that it's time I know the truth, so that I can go there and look for my father. Can you imagine?
Hey guys, why do you look sad? Kat, what's up? Why do you look sad? It's our graduation day and it's time for you to be celebrating.
We have a lot of problems.
Problems? You guys have problems. I have a real problem. Can you imagine my mom bringing my aunt with her, telling me that it's time for me to be a real woman?
A real woman?
Yes! They want me to go through FGM tomorrow. And they have done all the necessary arrangements. Can you imagine what that will do to my husband and my relationship? If what I've heard is true, those who go through that don't enjoy a thing and they don't even get to know what. I'd rather die than go through this.
Hey, seems everyone is here. Kate, Mercy, you guys are crying. What's the problem? Sean, yes. What did you do to Kate this time?
Nothing.
Or are you breaking up with her?
No, we're all having problems.
Wow, that is commendable, I must say. And I'd ask a question. Some of these movies that you people produce, is Naishingetu Kukwa shelf? I mean, is there a place that you can release them out to be showcased? Ama, you invest and then nothing?
Okay, we are just starting.
Okay.
As Glytlex is a new company and we are just starting. And now we want to prove to Kenyans that we can do better than Nigerians. Yeah. It is just the perspective that we have inside. And that's why we are distributing the movies now to the media stations.
Okay, is it a game of comparison as you answer what he was bringing about? Because it's good to compare if you want to grow. But then sometimes when you're trying to tap what you have, then it's important that you just deal with what you have, because sometimes what is in Nigeria could be totally different from what is in Kenya today. So do you suppose then that these people that are venturing into the industry sometimes compare a lot to a point that we lose the focus?
It may be true. They do that. Let me begin by just addressing that point.
Yeah.
You see, as a country, and I'm happy the government is trying to do that, promoting Buy Kenya.
Yeah.
Build Kenya.
Build
Kenya, true.
Because that is what is going to take us to the next level. And a good example is what they are using Nigeria. What does Nigeria sell? All the movies you've watched from Nigeria, they sell their culture. They sell their culture. They do not export foreign culture. 100%.
True.
And that's why they are doing better than we are doing. That's the first point. Let me now compare with a very developed country, United States of America. What do they export? America is the best. So why are we aping other people? Why can't we create our own conversation? And we say, from the point of classification, we always say as a board, it's about promoting our national culture and values through content distribution. Because that will have an impact on the market. And the media houses also need to assist that. There's a rule of 40 to 60%. If they assisted that, we will see much more coming into the industry. He addressed another issue of skill. And actually, we as a government have recognized that, especially as Kenya Film Classification Board. And we have said, one of the most important things he has said is skill, number one. Number two, equipment. And at Nairobi Film Center, that is exactly what we want to do. We want to ensure there is top of the notch equipment down there, and it will be gotten not very expensively for
Can
our
we get
people.
timelines, maybe?
By the end of this year, we will be up and running. In fact, 2 weeks ago, the Cabinet Secretary directed us to ensure we come up with a program that we will ensure there is a film studio in Nairobi Film Center.
What will be the protocol of accessibility?
Yes, very accessible. Nairobi Film Center, formerly Nairobi Cinema, is just in town, CBD. Anybody can come from any direction, alight at Kencom, and come to Nairobi Film Center.
But the protocol, like she's asking.
Just come to our institution, book, say, I want to do this. You will be given an opportunity. And that is what we are saying. We do not just want to create a stick. We want also to impact at the creation, that there's something better coming out. Skill. And I was with the CEO for Film Commission and said, by the way, skill is an issue for us. And I think they are trying to bring into developing skills among young people. And the Kenya Film School is also coming up with that particular direction.
Right.
Kenya Film School is a TVET of sort. A TVET of sort meaning that it does not require you a certificate.
Yeah.
Don't go. We are not calling students and telling them, come with you a KCSE exam. No, we are saying there's that guy who's at class 8 and feels wants talent. Go in that school.
Right.
They have graduated. This is the second year they're graduating. And numbers are increasing. The previous year when they began, they were 25. This year they are 30. This year they are 40.
Right.
So we want them to go and get these skills. And when they get the skills, they will actually pass through and be better. So the government is doing something. Equipment. In 2011, when our president was the Minister for Finance, he did pass in the VAT Act exemptions for equipment coming into this country.
Right.
But most people have not utilized. It's still on. It is still on. Guys who are importing equipment will get a subsidy on that particular. It has not been repealed. It's still available. But the government wants to go further, and I think Film Commission is working on a fund that will enable actually build the industry. So the government is doing something. And in fact, in this financial year, they have been given a target to go that direction. So something will turn the industry, but we need to invest in our skill. This guy said, Edward said it's about not fame, it's about commitment.
Right.
It's about commitment to the work you do. I come from a financial background, and we always say that you will first go to school, and then you will exercise your skills first, and then you rise up as you go. Young people need to take time, invest into their skills. They will hit, it will pay dividend. There's no quick fix, but it will pay dividends.
Well, we might say that commitment is key. Tatiana, briefly, let's just address some of the difficulties that you people go through. I know all these challenges are more or less the same, but probably setting up a company, to that point of giving it the name Glide Lakes, and, just ensuring that you have these people coming on board. Sometimes I'm sure you'd probably look at him and you're thinking, okay, after acting, then what? What are you giving us? But in real sense, probably his hands are tied and all that. So some of these things, do you face them? And what way do you suppose the government then should come in? Or maybe generally, the actors or the players in the game should come in to addressing this? Because if you have listened to some of these stories, the actors that used to entertain us back then, Vitimbi and all that, most of them are dying poor. Maybe because then it was not paying. But as time goes by, people realize their values, people realize what they can tap into, and today there's so much growth.
That's true. I think in Kenya we have this perception because I'm a founder of a company, an events company, and I'm also a freelance model.
Right.
So when you patch up being a freelance model and an actress at the same time, there's this perception in Kenya of exposure. It's like way number one, above money. Everywhere you go, everybody wants to expose you.
Right.
Year after year. Companies that can actually pay you want to still expose you. So at some point you wonder how much exposure you need in Kenya to be out there, to start earning that money. So when it comes to acting, everywhere you go, you'll find, yes, there's a really nice film, there's a nice concept, there's an amazing director there, a talented crew, but what are they paying you? 500, 1,000? How much does transportation cost in Kenya?
It's pretty expensive,
What are you going to eat?
Yeah, what are you
because you can't act when you're not when you're not eating on a day-to-day basis, right? So that money all goes in, transport, where you're going to drink, where you're going to eat. Sometimes it's not even enough. So if we have people who are able to actually pay because they've been funded, why are they not paying us? One. Two, something like Glide Lakes, right? They call us in. It's more of like a partnership. He's not telling us, come, we're going to expose you. You see, these are the different terms that are out there.
Right.
And also, youths need to understand what they're getting themselves into. Don't just rush because, it's a top company, I'm going to get exposed. How many times are you going to get exposed? Your face is always out there. It reaches a time that people are so tired of seeing you, and there's so much new fresh talent coming out there. They'd rather drop you for the fresh talent. That's why you see all these actors and actresses for the way back films are like, they don't even own a car. They're really struggling out there. Why? Because there've been so many films being exposed all this time, and at the end of it, they get dropped because fresh talent has come. So what do you remain with? Nothing. So at Glide Lakes, for us, it's more of a partnership. We knew what we were getting into. we're passionate about it. We want to grow our skills, nurture our talents at the same time, and we want to also change the way the youths see the acting.
Okay.
You know?
Well, either Emmanuel or Edward, one thing that she brought aboard and it got me thinking, when you're talking about fresh talent is coming in, true, fresh talent is coming in, but equally there are people who are in the industry that will not give space to fresh talent to grow. Sincerely speaking, today you called for auditions, and someone looks at this actor or actress has been in the industry. Before they even look at her, it's already decided that she's taking up that role. Is it because they seem to be the people who are going to sell it out so more? By the way, what you are talking about, Nigeria, if you realize right now, if you watch some of the Oga and Nollywood movies that are here right now, most of the faces that were there back then, the faces that we used to celebrate, are probably not in the game. They're just enjoying the benefits somewhere down there. So we're seeing new faces by the day. I mean, do you suppose that then this is the environment in Kenya, or still the oldies are suppressing the newbies?
I'll use personal experience.
As we wind up, maybe.
I have gone for auditions where they wanted specific things. I've seen people being dropped from projects because of their skin color. I went to one audition where they just wanted light-skinned people. At all. All. And I wondered, what if that dark-skinned person is way more talented than myself? Why wouldn't you just choose them rather than choosing me? Then when it comes to our content, I feel like here in Kenya, we have not yet appreciated our own content.
Right.
How many people actually go to the cinema to buy or to watch a Kenyan film? How many people buy a Kenyan film? How many people would rather download free movies? But they will not go to cinema to watch a Kenyan film. So I feel like we need to address the fact that the young talent is coming up, and there are some people who are blocking us from progress. And also we need a culture where we support our own. And I feel that is pretty much the biggest thing we have here in terms of a problem.
All right, probably as we get to wind up, in about 1 minute, because then also time is not on our side. And I think I'll mention some of the of what we would consider as problems. But we are growing this. We are growing the aspect of capital. We are growing creativity. You know, that limitation of creativity, lack of enough filming equipment, lack of mismanagement. Okay, lack or mismanagement of funds. We are growing lack of support. We are growing lack of exposure. Like all this out is survival for the fittest. So, as we proceed, then what are some of the things that we are supposed to do to transform, totally transform, and make the best of the film industry to what we want it to be, you know, as we get to wind up, as you chip in also?
Okay. I think the reason why film directors are using the known faces is because of the followers they have. They know if they use someone known or famous, the movie is gonna sell. That's because they really don't trust in, you know, Kenyans to actually go and buy a film. Like the way Avengers came out, people were busy, booked, you know, everybody wanted to watch it. The cinemas were fully packed. But in Kenya, if you're not going to use a famous person, someone who we follow or we idolize, no one is going to rush to watch your film.
And now the sad thing is that these influencers are getting almost all the deals in the market. Then what is left of these other people as we end?
So that's a really a challenge. There's this perspective that we believe that Linda can do better than Tatiana.
Right.
Even without asking Tatiana, try this. So that is a really big challenge. You can find that Tatiana is best than Linda, but that opportunity. So we urge these guys that are already made. I like Eric Omondi what he said. He said that Churchill is his father, the dad is Churchill. So he's out there to look for another market and now leave the upcomings.
Right.
Also, another issue that I will say that is a main challenge is funding. Funding is a big problem. Okay, I can say this. There's a movie that was produced and one of the Kenyan took part from our alliance. It was a movie budget around 1 billion shillings. So I want to say, if you want great things, you have to invest well. So the corporate world also should come to the film industry. The other films, you can see the other films, let me say the other filmmakers, they didn't proceed so much because they tried to make drama a movie. And, and lastly, K.F.C. is a good platform. I was in the Kalasha Film Awards, and I saw they are coming up with new opportunities and learning learning methods. What I want to tell them is consistency is a key.
It's key.
It's key.
Yeah, you can bring today, but consistency is the key.
Let it be there.
And actions speak louder than words.
All right, okay. Vincent, briefly, in about 30 seconds.
Good. We will work to ensure that talent is tapped into. As a board, I think that is now our focus.
Yes.
We want to build young talent. And we are just saying we will influence that particular circle, that particular environment. And that's why we have a program for Cinema National. And we think we will influence them.
Thank you. 20 seconds.
I'll talk to Vincent. You guys need to come up with a strategy where filmmakers come to you for actors, not them going to seek out actors. In the sense where I'm an actor, maybe I sign up to you guys, then a filmmaker wants a specific character. They come to you and you're the ones to probably give out, these are the list of people we can offer you for that particular service, so that we avoid seeing the same faces over and over and over again. That's
a point there to consider, right? Well, of course, on another level, I must say. But thank you so much, of course, gentlemen and lady. It was great having you. I know it's a conversation that needs much, much more time. But good is that we should be consistent in, in just addressing some of this issue. Right next to me, SiraSira, founder.
Glittering from the word glittering.
Glittering. Then, all right, thank you so much for your time and also for the good thing that you're doing, in the industry. And we have Tatiana Isabel, equally part and parcel of Glittering. So thank you so much for your time. Right next to Tatiana, Vincent Ayaya, Senior Officer, K.F.C.B. It was great having you this morning. And lastly, to you, Emmanuel Godfrey. They're pushing me out of set. So I have to say thank you so much for keeping us company. My name is Linda Alela. We see you again next Friday on Matters Entertainment and such discussions that pertain to the growth of the industry. Thank you.